Reading.
Okay. The slender vine. The traveler sees the wisteria vine hanging over the edge of the cliff from one of the stout lower branches of the pine tree. In the nick of time, he grabs hold of the vine and slides down to the end. The slender vine to which the traveler precariously clings represents our short lifespan. The Buddha likened the human lifespan not to a stout wire rope, but to an extremely narrow wisteria vine that could snap at any moment. Thanks to medical advances, the average human lifespan has continually grown, but even so, few people live past 100. Compared to trees that live for thousands of years, or the age of our planet, is said to be 4.6 billion years old. 100 years is but a moment in time. 20 years from now may seem like a long time ahead, but many people would agree that the past 20 years went by in a flash. In the end, even a life of 80 years feels all too short. The keener your sense of the brevity of life, the more you will live a life worthy of a human being. The Buddha once asked three ascetics to tell him the length of a human life. The first ascetic said 5 or 6 days. The second ascetic disagreed. No, not 5 or 6 days, about as long as it takes to eat a meal. The third ascetic said, oh no, human life is shorter than the time it takes to take a breath. The Buddha was greatly pleased by this last answer. That's right, just as you say, life ends before the breath that enters is exhaled. The keener your sense of the brevity of life, the more you will live a worthy life worthy of a human being. The Buddha went on to tell this parable. Imagine there are four master archers here. They each shoot an arrow at the same time into the four directions, one to the east, one to the west, one to the south, and one to the north. The arrows fly at lightning speed. Now imagine that at the same time, a fleet footed man starts running and catches all four arrows in mid flight. I'm sure you will agree that such a man is very fast indeed. What is even faster? What disappears before you know it is? Human life. There is no way for any of us to know when our life may end, but sooner or later, the vine of life will break. For all any of us know, our vine may be extremely fragile, on the point of giving way at any moment.
Okay, thank you, Ashanla. Can you share some of your thoughts about it?
The first thing I actually, the first thing I noticed was whenever the Buddha uses a parable and he's using examples, he uses the number four. So I don't know if there's any significance there, but the description of how quickly a human life is very good, because it's true. You know, I've been on the phone with somebody at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning and find out at 1 o'clock that they died at 9, you know.
Oh,
It's
wow.
just like, wow.
Wow.
A friend of mine he was my best friend for God, almost 50 years. We
Yeah.
talk almost every single day,
Mm.
and
He was doing
I
well
mean,
that morning.
mhm. Well, no, I knew that he was a little sick, but I didn't
Mm.
realize that cancer had consumed his body,
Wow.
because he wouldn't tell me because he figured it would just be too upsetting to me
Oh.
and throw my recovery routine off balance.
Mm.
He considered me to be somewhat fragile. I
Was
don't
it?
know why. Maybe he knows something I don't know. Maybe he knew something I don't know yet. But all life is fragile.
Mhm.
You
Right.
know, it, and when when I think I had this conversation at least twice a week with somebody like, man, time flies so fast as you get older, you
Mhm.
know. When you're a child, it's like you can hardly wait to get big enough to ride a two-wheel bicycle. Then you can hardly wait to be for a boy to I can hardly wait till I can shave like my dad. And then I look back, it's like number one, why did I ever want to shave? you know,
Yeah.
and it just all goes like that, just like that.
Mhm.
You know, I like hourglasses.
Mhm. Mhm.
You see it piling down, down, going down.
Yeah, I do.
Life is very, very short,
Mhm.
and
Mhm. What do you think about the keener your sense of the brevity of life, the more
yeah, I
you
was
will
just going to
live
comment on that. Actually,
fully of a human being.
I believe that. I
Mhm.
do believe that because when I'm very aware of that, like when I go into an institution or something, or I'm talking at a meeting, I realize, you know what, it might be the very last time I have a chance to express this, you know, and it's worthy of being mentioned, you know, because when you're carrying a message
Mhm.
to a group of people, whether it's recovery, the Dharma, whatever,
Mhm.
you're that messenger right then. And
Mhm.
you as a messenger might be the only one that reaches an individual,
Mhm.
so it's better you pay more attention.
Mhm.
It seems like you're more mindful, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I
we don't
used to
procrastinate.
no,
Mhm.
no, I used to do facilitate mindfulness courses for the VA.
Mhm.
And it's like after a few months of people practicing, intentional mindfulness, they would say, wow, really makes a difference. And I would say, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I don't talk about this because of some fantasy.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
people as a rule just aren't very aware of what's going on.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
they watch the news, read the newspaper,
Mhm.
and then they go to work. And that's their whole life.
Mhm.
This like what happens in between.
Mhm.
What happens in between the news and work.
Mhm.
That's a couple hours, but no, we don't have very long here.
Mhm. Yeah, but it's not a sad news because it's gonna bring out the best in us. So
Yeah,
that's why in Buddhism we don't shy away from contemplating our impermanence.
no,
Yeah.
I forget where I was reading at one time. It said that if you really want to understand the fragility of your life, meditate upon your dead grandmother's bones, something like that. And when I first read that, I thought, "Oh, that's kind of morbid."
Mhm.
But as I became more learned
Mhm.
and understood what they were talking about,
Mhm.
it seemed like a good thing. You know, it's just when I was thinking about death the other day, I remembered being in my father's car at the graveside on the road, and me and my younger brothers and sisters, and watching the whole procession, and I thought about, I'll never be able to talk to that person again,
Mhm.
you know.
Very sobering.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't get to hear children laugh or play anymore.
Mhm.
You don't get to hear birds, you don't get to see them.
Mhm.
At least we don't know for
Mhm.
sure, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, very good. So that's why Buddha says to confront the impermanence of life is actually taking the first step towards finding a happiness that never abandons you. So it's not a sad thing to
Yeah,
contemplate. It's developing resilience in us and a
yeah,
happiness that never abandons us because it's based on the truth. Yeah.
yeah,
Of course, it's not easy to confront that reality alone. That's why Buddha encouraged us to. seek the Dharma, the truth in a
Mm,
Sangha, in a community like this.
yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Ashanla, for sharing your time and reading. Yeah, we appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful Wednesday, the hump day.
Yes, I will.
Mhm. Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye. Have a
Bye.
good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
I am.